Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video I want to present to you how Vishwanathan Anand really defeated two 2700 GMs in his first two rounds in classical time control in the Norway Chess Championship 2022. Now this is the first round he played against MVL, and he was with the white pieces. He went for e4, and we have a Sicilian by MVL, and now bishop b5, and we don't have the Rogozin. We have the bishop trade, and we have a Maroczy bind set up by Vishy. This is known as the Maroczy bind. You're basically trying to stop the move d5. So knight f6 by black, knight c3 defending the pawn, and normal development, d4, of course the Sicilian move, and now g6, trying to take advantage of this long diagonal with the bishop as it has been opened. f3 defending the e4 pawn, enabling the movement of the c3 knight, and after bishop g7, bishop e3 defending the knight now, and the castles here. Vishy decides to go for a different kind of setup. Now knight b3 is not the most popular move, but it is a move, and Vishy tries this new idea. Here a well-known move is b3 to create this structure with the two triangles, and also another move is queen d3. I've seen this being played. There are a lot of variations. Vishy just decides to go knight b3, an experiment. We have e6 now guarding the d5 square, queen e2 defending the c4 pawn, queen e7, rook d1, and rook d8, rook c1, and now here's why these top GMs are so good, because they don't get that psychological block. They're just like, no, I'm not gonna go back to d4 with the knight just because I went back to b3. Why would I do that? I already came to b3, but he, unlike us, he goes back to d4 saying, I've made a mistake, it's all right. I can go back and I can acknowledge the mistake and correct it during the game. So he does that, knight d7 and b3. As I said, that this setup with the pawns. And now b5, and as Hikaru said about Maxime in his own video, when he doesn't see a clear way, he tends to try to sacrifice some material for some counterplay. So that's what this b5 move really is. But it is a little bit trickier than just a pawn sack, because now after pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and this trade, now you don't really want to take with the knight. I mean, you don't want to take with the knight at all, obviously, because you lose the rook. But you also don't really want to take with the queen, because now a move like knight e5, and black kind of gets his counterplay. You've got to be really careful here with white, the move d5, and also the open files for the rooks. And so therefore Vishy plays queen d2. Now he attacks both of the pawns. The pawn on b5 is under attack because now the rook is defended, and also the pawn on d6. So MVL defends the pawn on b5, and Vishy just grabs the pawn on d6. Now he's completely up a pawn with little counterplay for Maxime. b5, knight e2, and knight e5. Now a little bit tricky by Maxime, but in the end, all you got to do is avoid this trade, because now let's say something like queen e3, you have rook d3, and you really see how the initiative is starting to shift towards black, and you really wouldn't say that white is the one in control in this position. So therefore Anand just plays the correct move, rook to d1. Now the triple stack has been accomplished, and knight back to c6, guarding the rook, of course. But now this enables e5, and well, e5, now you just cannot take the pawn, and this cements the rook here forever. We have queen a7 check, and simply king h1, just moving the king out of the way, queen f2. But this looks scary, but it isn't. All Vishy has to play is the move rook c1, now attacking the knight, essentially forcing a queen trade, e takes on d6, and how are you gonna stop this pawn, really? Knight to e5, and here just h3, making room for the king. Rook b5, trying to activate the rook, but momentarily you want to go for rook d5. Vishy just plays f4, kicking the knight away. And now simply the move queen d4. Beautiful tactic here. You cannot take the knight because of mate. Here you would say, well, isn't mate blocked? Well, technically yes, but practically the pawn guards the escape square for the king. So Maxime is forced to trade pawns, and now although he's picking up this d6 passed pawn, now Vishy has two connected passed pawns and outside passed pawns, and those are the best. We have e5, fe5, knight e5, and rook c5 attacking the knight. This move is very important, and MVL can give every check that he wants. He will not be able to save his position. a4, rook b1 now attacking the pawn, and here simply rook c3 defending. Rook a1 by Maxime, stopping the advancement of the pawn, but now simply rook c7, and Maxime resigns. Well, why did he resign? Because there's nothing to be done here. For example, rook a3 going after the pawn, simply knight to d5, and yes, you can pick up this pawn, but here if you go to h8, that's mate, and king f8, you're down now 2 pawns, and now white is completely winning. Okay, so that was the first round. Now let's go to the second round, where Vishy played against Topalov, but now with the black pieces. So Topalov opens with d4, and we have a queen's gambit accepted, and here a b5. This has been very popular with a4, and the move c6. Now a very popular line in the past, in the recent past, has been this line. I've seen this actually been played in 95, queen b7 in the Grand Prix by Levon. And there's this idea for black to sacrifice the exchange here. I believe this was the move order, yes. And you know, there's a lot of play here for both sides. You have this pawns with black, this 3-on-1, and you have sacrificed the exchange, but you have some counterplay chances. But in the game, Topalov decides to go for knight c3, and now the tide completely shifts, because now the knight just goes back to the starting square, and you have this position with 4 pawns, actually 5 pawns on the 4th rank, and all the pieces on the back rank. So Vishy tries to hold on to his extra pawn, and by attacking the pawn, now Topalov actually gives up a second pawn. So momentarily Vishy is up 2 pawns, but again, this line is very well known, and white gets his counterplay. Now queen d7 played by Vishy, and Topalov gets one of his pawns back. And now Anand just defends his pawn, and simply develops and castles. So yes, white has his lead in the development. Let's see what he does with it. Now rook to d1, lining up the rook with the queen. So therefore Vishy just plays here a move that's very high level, obviously, the move c5, and the idea is to give back the pawn and now play rook c8, attacking the bishop, knight b3, forced obviously to defend, and now attacking the queen also, queen to c7, attacking the bishop one more time, but now queen goes to b5, and now you cannot really pick up this this bishop, because you cannot pick up the knight in the end, so because of checkmate. So therefore Anand goes for a6 and gives up a pawn. Now he's the one down a pawn, but he really got his development back, and after he kicks the queen out and plays this move, rook b8, attacking the knight, now Topalov is forced to trade and defend his knight. Now you really see him getting this this counterplay that I've been talking about, and the activity. Now queen b4, obviously pressuring the queen side here. White cannot really move. I mean, queen e2, and now Vishy forces a queen trade. But in this position, you can really see how the rooks are lining up, and you know, it's beginning to get unpleasant for white. Obviously, it's 0-0, but still, black is the one to be preferred in this kind of positions. Now just small improving moves. You want to improve your position as much as you can, and queen goes back to b4, queen e1, and now Vishy begins his maneuvering of the pieces, his activation. He attacks the b3 pawn, Topalov defends it, and now he puts pressure on the knight. Obviously the knight is not attacked, but there's pressure against it, and now this reroute of the knight is very essential, as we're gonna see in a couple of moves exactly how is Vishy winning in this position, because it's obviously completely equal. I mean, if we're talking about material, Vishy is actually down a pawn, so you wouldn't say that he has chances to win here. Yes, but look at Topalov's clock. He has 3 minutes 43 seconds, while Vishy has 29 minutes. So rook d3, just keeping the pressure, and the move e5 is played. Now this allows for a little bit of counterplay, like just rook d5. Now knight c4 defends the pawn. Rook takes on d1. Now queen takes on d1, and the crazy thing is, after knight takes on a4, Vishy gets the pawn back. But not only the pawn. Look at Topalov's clock. He has 8 seconds, but after this move he just runs out of time, so he gets flagged. Vishy is able to pick up the pawn, but in no way is he winning. Here rook a1 is drawing, and after knight c3 you just play something like queen d2, and I mean, even if Vishy tries to pick up a pawn, let's say, you just pick up this pawn, and this is completely drawn. I mean, you get your extra time. By the way, the game ended on move 36. You have to make it to move 40 to get the extra time and the increment. So 3 moves short. Topalov was 3 moves short, and here, as I said, queen d2, you cannot really win anything. This is just a draw. This is just simply a draw. There's nothing to be done here. You just trade queens and you shake hands. You go to the Armageddon game. But instead, Topalov simply loses on time, and that's how Vishy was able to beat him, and also MVL in the first round. So he is now the sole leader of the tournament, as I said, and I'm very interested to see how the third round ends. That was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. This was me.